conversation about what I chose to be one of the habits of the Jewish home. Today is the second one, and I call the class Privacy, What Happens at Home Stays at Home. A very non-modern title. This is not exactly how we live our lives. And if last week we spoke about the mezuzah and about opening the doors of our home to the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we spoke about having Hashem presence in every one of our rooms, in every one of our areas. And we spoke about having the awareness that we want Hashem to be present in every aspect of our lives. Today, we actually want to speak about who we don't want to be present in every area, in every aspect of our lives, and how do we manage it. I want to start the class with something that to me was extremely interesting, that I didn't know about this. And this is halachic, some halachot that are in the area of damages. You know, we have in the Gemara, in Rambam, halachot that speak about, that talk about damages, things that we cannot do because they cause damage to the other. And sometimes these things are forbidden in our own property. For example, there is machloket, but one of the halachot speak about, am I allowed to make a pit in my property? Or can this in any ways affect my neighbor? And it seems that it affects my neighbor, because if I, if I dig a pit, and my neighbor also wants to dig, my pit is not going to allow for him to have solid walls. I'm not going into the details, but Chachamim discuss these matters. What things I cannot do because they can cause damage to my neighbor. You know, in this, what I'm going to share with you is we find it in Harambam, in Mishneh Torah, in Sefer Kinyan, Ilchot Shechenim. There are halachot for neighbors, but I'm going to read from Wikipedia. It's called Hezek Reya. What is Hezek Reya? Is damage that is caused by looking, by seeing. So it speaks about neighbors and how sometimes by my actions, I could be damaging by my neighbor, and these actions are only looking at my neighbor's property, looking at what he is doing. So is a person allowed to stand, like I'm standing on in my property, am I allowed to look in my neighbor's chatzer, in my neighbor's backyard? And this is called hezek. In the Talmud, it's called hezek reya, because when I'm looking at his property, he's being harmed in some way. How? So we have this in Masechet Baba Batra, and there is a machloket, and this is something halachic that will make me have to pay for this damage. How is this damage measured? Do I have to pay if I am doing it? So let me just go by examples. I know I'm not being clear yet, but be patient with me. They are specifying here, what is the problem? המסתכל בביתו של אדם נחשב להזק. If I look into another person's home, this is damage. Why? משום שאדם עושה בביתו דברים צנועים. Usually, in my home, I do things that are private. I don't want others to see them. I don't want others to look at me. It could be also that there was a mechitza, there was something that separated between both homes, and it fell. Now, another aspect could be ezek merabim, that sometimes I am in my home and people that pass by, not actually living next to me, could be looking, and that is called by Chachamim causing damage. If I look into the privacy of another person's life, this is causing damage. Another aspect, bagina. So this is what I spoke at the beginning. If it's in the backyard, מכיוון שאסור לאדם לעמוד בשדה חברו בשעה שהיא עומדת בקמותיה, שלא יזיקו בעין הרע. Imagine my neighbor is on the back of his house, I don't know, counting, perhaps if he had fruits, if he had some harvest that he's gathering, is doing something, has tomatoes in his in his farm that he's growing there, and he's counting them. If I'm looking at him, Chachamim saw this as damage. I'm not getting into the halachic definition because, for example, a Rambam would say that in the backyard is not considered damage of looking, only if it happens inside the house, because a person that is doing in the backyard knows that he is exposing himself, that others will see him. Anyways, the Gemara does not bring what are the reasons for this to be considered damage, but we can understand that how am I causing damage by looking into others' privacy, others' person's private life. So let's think, there could be 3 reasons. And if you want, you can tell me, you can participate, you can write down. What do you think could be the reasons for me causing damage when I'm looking into somebody's private life? What could be wrong with that?
You could be causing damage to yourself because you're looking at other people and it makes you see what you don't have.
Definitely, but here we're speaking about the damage that I'm causing to him. That's a very good point, and we're going to speak about that later. Definitely. But what could be the damage that I'm causing the other?
You're taking away their privacy.
Yes, and that's wrong because. Okay, so I'm going to share with you what I found here. Ain hara.
But we always said Ain hara is not really.
Yeah.
No, yes, there is Ain hara. The question is, how do we understand Ain hara? So what is the Ain hara? Ain hara means that whenever somebody's, let's say, wealth, goods, my good life is exposed to others, the risk that I am going through is that it's what you said, Daniela, but is what you are saying affecting me. Like what the person that is looking is going to become jealous, is going to become with tzarut ayn, with a bad eye, and is going to act in ways that is going to be causing damage to me, because a friend that is having ayn hara on what I have is going to act in those ways. Mm-hmm. This is ayn ra. Ayn ra, it's jealousy. It's feeling bad for your success. It's being resentful because you have. It's being unhappy because of that. And sometimes it's going to be reflecting in the way I act, in the ways I speak, in the way I share this with others. So this is the damage that ayn hara can do. I am acting upon that. I feel I'm not happy for what you have. I don't want you to have it. And I can somehow try to boycott that also. Could be by speaking with others, could be by, yes, my sister today, she wrote us in the chat, she lives in Efrat, and they made an expansion in their home. So she had a balcony in the back of her kitchen, and she lived in a 3rd floor without elevator. So by her expanding her balcony, she had the ability to go from the street in the back of her house without going up the stairs. And it was amazing. It changed their lives for her grandchildren that come in and out. So she tells me today, they got a letter from the municipality, and they did everything, of course, with you need to go through the municipality and get the certifications to be allowed, etc., etc. It seems that they made 2 steps to get in, and that wasn't included exactly in the rules. I don't know, I didn't understand the details. But a neighbor complained about that. A neighbor that it didn't affect them, it didn't cause any damage to them, it didn't bother the view. You could say, oh no, it makes it less beautiful. She was writing to us, the siblings in the chat, I just cannot understand what did it bother this person? Why did they have to go and make a complaint against what we did? So it's a good example of Ain Hara, somebody that just gets bothered that you are having a good life, that you are having a good, whatever, a good part in whatever it is, wealth or happiness or family or whatever. So that's one of the things that could be bad. The second one is tzniut. Tzniut means modesty. So if I am in my area, in my property, I don't want others to see the way, actually we feel that every day now in the summer. Like sometimes I have discussions with my daughter when she comes outside to the backyard. But I'm home. No, this is not home. This is the backyard. And neighbors can look, and the way we dress, and the way we act, and the way we talk. So this is tzniut. So it's very interesting that this halakha is not focusing only on me and on the way I act, as we are used to be told all the time. It's focusing on the other one, on the one that has to look at it. And while I was reading this halakha, I kind of felt bad because, I was walking the other day, and I was walking with my daughter, and I tell, wow, I didn't know that they have a swimming pool there. So I was looking into the property. We really need to train ourselves, even when we are walking outside, not to look into other people's property. That's not right. That's not the Jewish way. The Jewish way is I don't look into other people's homes. Of course, every house needs to also close the windows or bring down the blinds and trying to not to expose things that you don't want others to see. But definitely it affects the tzniut, the way you're not supposed to look into things that are private, that are intimate in other people's lives. And the third point that it brought here is it will bring to lashon hara. It will bring to talk. It will bring to speak. When I see what happens in my neighbor's property, it can make me speak about him and speak rumors. If it's rechilut, lashon hara, speaking bad. Oh, you know what they do? They are eating without trumot u'masrot, or they are. I realize that as many people in Israel do, they are buying kashrut that is not badatz. They are doing this, they are doing that. So this brings to lashon hara when I'm too focused on the other person's life. So I'm still into the halakha. And what is interesting is that if my neighbor realizes that I'm looking into his property and I'm causing a zek reya, damage that is caused by looking, by sight, the halakha can demand that we erect a wall that separate in between properties, בניית כותל, בנזק רגיל, מי שהזיק את חברו, חייב לשלם ממון. Usually, when you cause damage, so the fine would be with money. You will have to pay a fine. מה שאין כן בהזק ראייה, when the damage is from looking at, המזיק את חברו לא חייב לשלם לו ממון, does not have to pay money, but כותב הראש שעצם קיומו של הזק מחייב מצד תקנת חכמים את שני הצדדים בבניית קיר בגובה 4 אמות. We have to build a wall that has כ2 מטרים, like 2 meters. How much is 2 meters? 2 yards? Yes? Is not a yard a meter? I think so. More or less, more or less, more or less. Okay, so what is the interesting thing? Yeah, it's a yard, yes. So we have to build a wall. What is interesting is that they will force, Bedin can force me to pay part of that wall. It's not only the neighbor that I don't want others to see me, that he has to pay for it, but both neighbors will have to pay together for this wall, and there is many halachot regarding the wall. Reading for you on the same subject what a Rambam writes. The following rule applies with regard to a courtyard owned in partnership that is large enough to divide, or one that was divided by consent, even though it's not large enough to divide. So it's speaking about 2 houses that they share the backyard. Each of the partners may compel the other to join in the building of a wall in the middle of the courtyard. So Ramban is bringing a situation where we're sharing the backyard. So each one of us could decide, no, I want a separation, and then I can impose on the other to be taking part on building the wall. The rationale is that damage caused by an invasion of privacy is considered to be damage. Neither partner can claim that it is as an established fact that the courtyard has remained without a wall. Instead, even though the courtyard stood many years without a divider, one partner can compel the other to join in the building of a divider. So Ramban is saying, even that there was never a wall there, since this will be affecting the privacy of any of the families that live there, they can impose on the other side to build a wall. So I just felt that it's really an amazing, interesting halacha. Actually, my husband, of course, is the one that pointed it to me, and I never learned about this, and I think it's amazing to see how the halachot of causing damage to the neighbor expand to this area that we could think, what is the problem? I'm only looking, what can you imagine in the American institution that they would be able to tell you, oh, why are you looking there? You cannot look. Well, it's my eyes. I am not causing any damage. I'm not affecting the other person. For us, for the Jewish philosophy, for the Jewish law, yes, the Jew is supposed to also control where you put your eyes on, and we are supposed to create the boundaries that will protect us from having this type of damage. You know, the same way that whenever we have a balcony or a dangerous place in the house, there is an halacha in the Torah, ve'asita ma'akeh leganecha, we're supposed to make a wall, a ma'akeh is a, how you say ma'akeh?
Fence, maybe.
A fence that will protect us to fall and to get into a dangerous place. We're supposed to protect the lives. The same thing here. We make a fence, we make a boundary whenever there is a risk for us to invading the other person's privacy. So how connected is this with our reality, this halacha? How much we live our lives in this level of sensitivity for the other's privacy. What do you think?
I think that unfortunately we live the opposite. Like everybody, I mean, today is a good example, because when you're inside, you dress modestly and like cover yourself, but when you go out, you dress nicer and you wear something, you put makeup, and the same thing with like nobody wants to have a house that is like small and crumpy and ugly and like unfortunate. I mean, I don't believe it, but that's how it became the reality. People are gonna look at you and say, oh yeah, why did they have such a medium house if they can have a nicer house? You know, like unfortunately the mentality is like that. So definitely we don't go by.
So what you are saying is that we live very much according to what others are going to say and how others are going to see us. So let's go a little bit inside in whatever we can control, okay? So let's speak about us inside the family, and how do we behave with others? How much do we allow others to see what happens at home? And I'm going to start with the relationship between husband and wife, okay? What happens, how much do I share from what happens inside my home? From the struggles that I can have, discussions, even not discussions, things that we, opinions, conversations. How much of that I allow to become public, for others to hear, for others to know about it. So one of the very, very important principles in a relationship that is solid, that is good, and one thing that we need to strive to have is trust. Trust between husband and wife. He trusts me, I trust him. And trust is a very wide concept, but one of the things that trust involves is I trust you that the way I behave at home in the privacy of our four walls stays between you and me. This is trust. I trust that I can be myself in my house. And of course, we're speaking about, we are striving to speak about people that are behaving according to the Torah, with respect, with their herets, with the, you know, ve'avta l'reacha kamocha. I'm not speaking now about, I am, God forbid, an abusive person and I don't want anybody else to know. No, I'm speaking in normal terms. Whatever happens in my house, even when I don't behave, even when I make mistakes, the pact that I have with you, my wife, my spouse, my husband, is that it's something so intimate. This is actually the meaning of intimacy. Intimacy starts with the in. In is something inside, internal, inner, happens here. We don't want whatever we have between the two of us, this exclusive life, this that I have with you, that you know about me, that I know about you. Whenever we sign on this pact of marriage, we are kind of saying this stays with us. I know that you are not going to share it with others. I know that in your conversations, when you go out with your friends, you're not going to be speaking about me. Because if you do, it's really going to be very, very embarrassing for me. So this is the first thing, that our conversations should stay private. Our behaviors should stay private. Once I take it out, if I do, once I share it with others, I am breaking that intimacy. I'm breaking that special holy world that exists between the two of us. Because it was something so personal, so amazing, beautiful that we had together. And now you are bringing it out there. Others know about that. That's not intimacy anymore. So first of all,
that one.
Yes? Anybody? Okay. So first of all, the fact that I want to trust that whatever happens at home is happening at home. And why shouldn't I share it? Because I would break that sense of intimacy, number one. Number two, I would cause embarrassment. And we know, to embarrass somebody is like killing. So how would I do that with my spouse? Imagine, I don't know, imagine that one day, and we all make mistakes, and we all have our bad days. Imagine one day I lost it, and I said something terrible about a family member of my spouse. It's bad, it's wrong, it shouldn't happen. But if it did happen, it would be so embarrassing for me that others know about that. I wouldn't want that to happen. And I trust my spouse that we're going to have the nobility, the greatness to treat those things between the two of us and not to go and tell others. Another thing that happens when we share things is that usually, why will I share with others? things that happen between me and my spouse, why will I share it with others? Girls, I like the participation. Why would I share it? Why a person goes and tells her friends?
Because you need to vent.
You need to vent, you feel bad, you are frustrated. And sometimes it's even because I really want to find some help. I want
Maybe an advice.
I want an advice, I want help. I feel so lonely. I feel that I live such an unfair life, so I go and I share it with friends. Now, what is the problem with that? So yes, number one, the goal number one, to vent, I got it. I vented. Can I get advice? Sometimes. Is that advice good? Barely. Why? Let me tell you why. Number one, when I expose my situation, usually I am going to be very subjective. I'm going to bring one side. I'm not going to tell my side. I'm not going to say all what I said before. I'm not going to say how I was mean and how I embarrassed in front of the kids and how I did this. I'm going to bring only that side. That's first. I'm subjective. I cannot stress enough. Let me go mute again. Yeah. Okay. I cannot stress enough, you know how often I see that when I happen to sometimes get involved in situations of shalom bayit, of distress among spouses in the couple. So very often it happens that one of them approaches me. It could be the husband, it could be the wife. Okay, can I speak with you? Of course. I listen. What will be my next step? And by the way, I was very immature and I would make conclusions very fast and I would give the reason very fast until I learned my lesson. So I have to make a big effort to be quiet and to listen. And then I make an absolute effort to listen to the other side. And then I will listen a total different story because I'm listening to the other side. And then my next step will always be, of course, if they agree, is to put them together and to let them repeat their story together. And their stories don't sound any more the same. They don't dare. It's not because they're afraid of the other, because they know if I'm going to say this about him, it's going to say that I did before. And I only said half the truth and I didn't bring all the... So it's natural, it's human. I'm not saying that people are doing it in a mean way. But whenever I go and I tell my friends about my personal frustrating experience, there are two big problems with that. Number one is I'm not saying the whole truth. I'm being subjective, which is natural. And I'm not saying the other side, and I'm not advocating for the other side. That's number one. Number two, usually I tell my story to people that actually love me, people that care about me. So these people are already biased. They are not going to be objective because they care so much about me. So that's why the advice very often is not the right advice. Now, also, my friends, as good as they are, sometimes they have the best of their intention, but they are just thinking about fairness, about being right, about this is wrong, this is right. They don't think enough about my happiness. What is going to make me happier? So yes, this is unfair, but is this going to make you happy? Is this going to bring you to a better life? I remember we were sitting with my husband in one of these meetings that we have sometimes here in Great Neck with the social workers from the UJA and other clergy in Great Neck, rabbis, rebbes, and etc. And there were some therapists, some groups of therapists, because they wanted to expose us to the different services that we can use in the community. So one of them was about LGBT community and you know, gays, etc. And they were speaking about, and that was very scary to hear this, because they were speaking about how the law in New York is that, for example, a child after a certain age, I don't remember, they can come and they don't need to tell the parents. They have all the right for confidentiality and privacy. And they were saying what their agenda was and what the advice would they give. But they never took into consideration, for example, that for kids in our community, for example, happiness is not only my self-expression. Happiness has a huge, huge expression in having a family and being able to participate in the family life, in the community. So they didn't take into consideration all these factors. Things are not so black and white. Happiness and well-being of an individual is not only what happens to me. We have to be able to see the whole situation and where this step that I take today is going to take me tomorrow. And not every advice is going to take me to a better place of where I'm standing, and I'm being careful not to use certain words. Certain things are not going to give me a better life. For some people, for others, no. So it's not so easy. So yes, so how friends can help. So should I share with friends? What if I feel very, very frustrated and things are so difficult? So okay, so go to the right person. Go to a therapist, or go to the rabbi of your community, or go to, I don't know, the rabbinate, or with the person that you feel comfortable. Or if you have one friend that you know very well that that friend has experience, that is known to be very private and is going to only look for your own benefit, and that friend, for sure, her recommendation will be to support you to go to the right professional or to the right person that is going to advise you for your best. So then, yes, but not to make it a conversation of my, I don't know, girls' night out. Everybody's speaking about that. That's not healthy. That's not good. That's not going to bring anything good. Again, what it will bring? Embarrassment, breaking the trust of my spouse, breaking the intimacy that unites us, lashon hara, bringing it and spreading rumors after that. Also, imagine after this conversation, I really come to my senses and I go to a rabbi or I go to a therapist, or I myself with my husband decide to sit and to work on our problems, and we are successful and our relationship improves. So what happens with these good intention people that were there in the middle of our problems? What is the image that they are keeping with themselves? How is my mom? How is my parent, if I shared it with them, going to look at my spouse in the future? Will my friends forgive? Will they ever forgive the way he treated me? But Baruch Hashem, we were able to work it out. We did therapy. He changed. I changed. I understood that I was the one provoking certain situations, and my friend didn't know about that. So this is why it's so toxic and so bad when I open what happens inside my home and I share it with others, because most times it's not going to bring any good. Now, I definitely want to emphasize that friends can be very helpful. Like we know, God forbid, in situations of abuse, a good friend was able to identify and was able to, but the direction should be directing the person to the right professional, and not myself taking upon myself the solution, the intervention, the help, because it's not going to help. That's not going to be what solves the life of my friend or whatever. Okay.
Rabbanit, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Of course.
Okay. So what if it's not something bad? What if it's some random information? Like, for example, my husband likes his shirts starched. My husband eats like this. I mean, I also feel like that's unnecessary. I mean, it's a culture where we share, where we hang out with our friends.
Thank you. So yes, I have divided my class in 3 different departments, and that's my 3rd one.
Okay.
But you're right, and I want to mention it now. Like, again, this is breaking the intimacy. What happens in my home, when I put it out, when I bring it out, it's already not private. It's already not something that belongs only to my husband and myself. Now, it's difficult because we still live social lives. We still go out with friends, and we are, you know, we are friends and we share. It has to do a lot with how much interactions exist between both sexes. So we will speak about it a little bit. I hope to have the time. So this is what the first area that I think is very important to remember. Try to protect your intimacy. Try to give your spouse the message, don't worry, as ugly as you look now is between you and me. And he has me and my reassurance, and I hope to have also his reassurance. And whenever I act in ugly ways, I also want to be protected from him telling it to the whole entire world. That's a very important element, that if we can achieve that level of trust, is going to make our marriage much more solid. And this is a part of what it means to be committed to the relationship. Like, I care so much about our relationship. I want us so much to work on it, to become better, that I don't want to ruin it by exposing the things that happen between you and me in front of others. By the way, even when a couple has to go to a therapy, to a counselor, even then, you know, you feel that, oh, I am bringing all these ugly things out. It hurts, it's difficult. We do that whenever an intervention is needed. But if it's not needed, and if the couple has the ability to have the level of communication to solve things among themselves, of course, that's always the best. So this is the first point that I wanted to mention, is privacy and trust. The second one, and has to do, also the first, all of them today are very much affected by the way we live our lives. Like, our community, our neighbors are not only those that live next to us. Today, the neighbors live in the community of the internet, of the media. Things don't happen only when I live next door. Not only my neighbor sees what happens in my house. Today, others see them because they are exposed in media. And why are they exposed in media? Most times because I expose them, because I post them. It's not because a friend put a picture and in that picture I was there. By the way, it happened to me, that I've seen that people post pictures, and because I didn't like how I look, the truth, not because I didn't want to have my picture. I said, please, I don't like how I look in that picture, take it out. So even when you post things that involve other people, you have to be sensitive about that. Does that person care about me posting their picture in a public way? Anyway, what happens when I post things? Usually the things that we post, the things that we expose, the thing that I tell, the things that I share are things that look perfect, that create that image that I want others to see about me. So usually it involves ostentation. I want others to see the amazing vacation that we had, and I post the pictures. I want others to see the amazing, gathering that I did in my house and how much I prepared, so I post pictures. I want others to really admire the way I live, and I want the likes, and I want the applause of the world. And the question is, why? Why do I care so much to share with others things that I'm living in my own privacy? Why it's so important to me that others will give me their approval? So usually is the more I need others to approve of my life, is the less I am in touch with my feelings, my life. Like, if I'm content with what I'm doing and with what I have, and if I am really content and I'm in touch with my feelings, I wouldn't need so much from others to see. So this is regarding what you mentioned at the beginning, Daniela, what it does to me. How much I care for others to applaud what I have. And that's, I leave the question in the air. Why is that? Ostentation. What does it do to others? It's very interesting. My sister was speaking with me. She lives in Panama. She's preparing classes also in Midot, in qualities of the home. And I was telling her, we were brainstorming about this subject. And she was telling me, pay attention that the more we open ourselves to others, the more we invite bad midot. What is midot? Midot is character traits. So we have good character traits and we have bad character traits. For example, what is a good character trait? Generosity, humility, that's a good character trait. I don't know, I would say even self-esteem, but bad character traits is kin'ah, ta'ava, kavod, jealousy, ambition, the pursuit of honor. So the more I expose my life to others, the more I'm inviting, and I'm kind of I'm kind of putting a stumble in front of people that are not perhaps enough aware. I'm making them be jealous of me. If we're speaking about me exposing things that I'm having and others don't have. I remember one of my kids one mentioned to me, Mom, you know how many children don't like the first day of school? I said, why? I said, do you know that we all have to speak about our vacation? A simple activity, the teachers, in a cute way, just ask the kids, what did you do on vacation? Tell us. And they have a good subject, and you can make an essay about that, or you can bring pictures, whatever. And my child was telling me, you know that some kids don't have what to tell because they did not go on vacation. Or even if we don't go to children, speak about adults. Somebody is very upset telling their group of friends, oh, we were planning to go on this cruise, but now we will have to only go vacation local in America. And he's like saying, we had to down, I say, you do less. Down. We have to go down our standard of vacation. And this person that is listening is wondering, how am I going to pay the bills for this month? Because my situation is so difficult, because I lost my job, or because it was never good. So the fact that we live in society is beautiful, but it should be beautiful for us to be sensitive to each other, for us to support each other, for us to realize that not everything that Hashem blessed me with, the other person has. And I can really, really bring many negative feelings. Another situation that I remember, one of my kids, and I say kids, it doesn't matter, had a party, not a party, a gathering with few of their friends. And it was nice, it was innocent, it wasn't ostental, it wasn't something to take out the eyes of others, but innocently, that kid posted pictures and had a whole situation with another friend that wasn't invited. So it didn't necessarily, there is not a rule. When you gather with friends, you have to invite all your friends. No, there is not a rule. But when you post it, when you expose it, when you show it, it kind of make the other person feel bad. Why I am not included? Why they didn't speak about me? So it used to be something for celebrities, that celebrities, we knew about their lives, and they were in all the magazines, and they were on TV shows, and they were in movies. It used to be something for celebrities, but today, everybody wants to live their life as a celebrity. So everybody wants to post, everybody wants to show, everybody wants the others to see how I live my life, how I prepare my children for school, how I cook amazing gourmet dinners, how everything in my house is organized, and there is all these bloggers, and they show everybody the way they live their lives. And I heard that there is even, I don't know, my daughter was telling me that she watched a movie where the character, every step that they took, they needed to check their followers. I don't know if it was Twitter or Instagram, or I don't know exactly what the media path it was, that they needed to get approval. Like that person needed to go to the doctor. Should I go to the doctor or not? They told me to have a surgery. So should I do the surgery or not? And according to the followers' decision, that's how that person would live their lives. It's kind of giving away your bechira chofshit, your ability to live your life according to what you want. Now, what is the problem? Imagine there wouldn't be jealousy. Everybody has everything. Everybody's happy. The more I need to show others, the more I need to share with others, the less I look inside and I pay attention to what really makes me happy. So what makes me happy? The likes, like I had a vacation, I enjoyed it. It was amazing. Why do I need others to say, wow, what an amazing vacation. Wow, you look great. Why do I need others to know that? The peak of it is I really am not trying to be judgmental, and I know that we are living in this trend and everybody is into this dance. And this is my goal is mainly for us to regain a little bit of awareness and to think, this is really what I want. This is really what makes me happier. So what happens, let's say, is my husband's birthday. So I write to him a whole Megillah and I put it on Facebook. You are the sun of my life. There is no husband like you. Always so sensitive. Always takes care of bringing me my breakfast to my bedroom. Always this. And the gifts that you bring me. And when you come home, and it's always everything butterflies around us, and our life is perfect. I love you. And then I hear that husband doesn't even have Facebook. So why are you putting this on Facebook? He's not gonna read it. So for whom are you writing this? Whose approval are you looking for? Why are you doing this? And I think that most people do it only because they really love their husband and they want the world to know that how an amazing person he is. And there is no bad intention. But think before you do things. Think how much more precious and intimate is going to be if it's kept only between you and him. If he's the only one that knows how much you love him. And if it's something, you know what is kedusha, that is exclusive only for the two of you, and not for the whole world to know. And what about your friend that her husband never brings her gifts and is not so nice, and they're going through such a crisis? Or what about your other friend, your age, that she's not married? And what your other friend that she lost her husband? And what the other one that got it? So do you realize how many things that are not exactly amazing are caused by us exposing this? I don't want to go, there is a whole subject, I just throw a sentence, I'm not going to go into it because of the time. Children, our children. I was speaking with my daughter yesterday, and she tells me, Mom, do you remember how much I hated when you told your friends about me? I said, what? What did you speak about you? I said, no, you would just say she has strep. Something like that. Something as simple as sharing with your friends. We come from the doctor, my daughter has strep. She hated it because she's private. She doesn't want others to know about her. And we don't realize that our children have their own world, their own private world, and we are posting their pictures and we're speaking about them and we're talking about this one that is so difficult child and this one. Hello, we're not allowed to speak Lashon Hara about our children, and they deserve their privacy. And I don't want to get into all what happened. I don't even understand what happened. I have to find out more with Facebook and hacking and the pictures becoming public and all of that. So my message today is think, think, think. Think before you post. Think before you share. Think before you open the walls of your life at home, of the things that I was thinking about how many of the Didanim that we had in the last times, of these great people, mostly the elder in our community that passed away, when they speak about them, about how great they were, and some of them how much they had and how much they helped others with what they had. So I said, wow, and nobody knew about this. And they had such humility. And so they were so private. And they kept it so much from others to see. They were not being ostentatious about it with others and showing the whole world all what they do and how amazing is their life and how good parents they were and how a supporter of the community. Privacy. The more you keep it inside, the most valuable it is, because there is not ain hara, there is not others being jealous, there is not people speaking bad about you, there is no embarrassing anybody in public, and you are keeping and protecting the intimacy that is so valuable in your life. And now, after, and again, I repeat, ain hara is showing off. When I show off what I have, and it makes others be jealous for me. And sometimes acting upon that, which is not good. It doesn't bring any good vibes in our relationship. And the last minutes that we have, what about modesty, tzniut? And what is tzniut? So we are used to speak about tzniut as the length of my sleeve and the covering of the hair and how I dress and the length of my skirt, and it's all going by inches, and there is a lot. I was reading something really, really interesting about this person was speaking about the wedding that they were preparing for their children. And we're going to bring, let's say I'm crazy, saying just crazy thing, an elephant is going to bring the chatan, and the kala is going to come. By the way, we were in a bar mitzvah in Uruguay, that the bar mitzvah boy came in an elephant to the hall. So an elephant is going to bring the chatan, and the kala is going to come in an helicopter, and we're going to have flowers from all over. The sky is going to be full, and the food, and this, and so she's speaking with a friend. The friend says, "You're not worried about modesty? Like, no, don't worry. We're going to start. We're going to write in the invitation, please come with modest attire." So there is modesty. But what I'm trying to convey is that modesty does not mean only the way we dress. Modesty is an attitude, is simplicity, is the way we show ourselves to others, is how much noise we make, how noisy we are. You know, I've mentioned a few times, and those that come to the classes will remember how much I admire our friend Rabbi Oppenheimer. You remember what I say about Rabbi Oppenheimer? Rabbi Oppenheimer came to give a class on parenting in our home, and he's an amazing, amazing educator. But we were friends, so it's not that we came and saw how they live their lives. They were very, very private, but I remember them always, all of them in their home. I wish I could get there. They always spoke with this amazing, calm voice. And we had them over for a barbecue. And they had, at that point, 11 children, little children. And you couldn't hear any one of them because it was, please, can I get this salt? And that's how they connected with each other. They were so private and so modest. And it reminds me of Hillel HaZaken. Hillel HaZaken, that was known to be such a kind and patient person. There is a story about him that once he was coming with the rabbis towards his house, his town, and they hear screaming, help, help, screaming, something is happening. They didn't know if it was a fire or if, I don't know, people came to attack them, criminals. And all the other friends of Hillel, the other rabbis were very worried. What if it's my home? And Hillel was very calm. So they asked him, aren't you concerned that it's your family? He says, no. Why? In my home, they never scream. They always speak in very, very low, calm voice. Of course, this is an extreme. We want our family to scream if they are in danger. This is not something normal, but it was a very important chuna, quality, midah of Hillel and his family. There is a Mizmor of Tehillim, Mizmor Kuf Mem Dalet, 144, that David HaMelech is speaking about. He's in battle, and he's in a very close moment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he's praying to him, to protect him from his enemies. And among other things, he describes his home and his family. And one of the psukim says, Alufenu mesubalim, en peretz ve'en yotzet, ve'en tzvacha birchovotenu. Our cattle are well taken for. They're being taken for. Like he's describing the pastoral environment in his town. Everybody's well, the boys, the girls, there is a psukim about them. And then he says, En peretz, ve'en tzvacha, ve'en yotzet, ve'en tzvacha birchovotenu. There is no breaching and no wailings and no screaming in our streets. Like this is how he describes his place of living. Alufenu mesubalim, en peretz ve'en tzvacha birchovotenu. There is no screaming. Everybody lives knowing to keep their tone. So tzniut is when I want to keep it quiet. I don't need everybody to know what's happening in my house, what's happening in my family, when do we fight, when we don't fight, what did we buy, what we didn't buy. Again, we live social lives, so it's going to happen that we share things with our friends. But the less about our privacy, about who is my husband, who am I, what do we do, what does he like, what do I like, does he help me fixing things, does he help me cooking, no, and they don't like that. Ask your husbands. I'm speaking with women, I would ask the husbands to ask their wives, how much do you care if I share this about you with my friends? How much do you care if when we are talking, I speak about ourselves, about the fact that you love to eat, I don't know, very greasy foods? How much do you care? And I'm telling you, it happened that I got some calls from husbands telling me, please, Mrs. Vuitton, can you speak in your classes about women not sharing private things about us with their friends? And I was kind of in shock. And you feel, sometimes you see men so strong and so, they don't care, but they're so sensitive and they get so embarrassed and they care so much, especially if it goes to the area of intimacy, and I'm going to physical intimacy, of what happens in the most sacred room in the house, in the bedroom. I get so surprised when I'm teaching the kalot and they tell me, no, my friends told me that this and this happened to them on the first night. And one friend told me that in her case, it took them forever. It took them for months until they were successful. I hold my head. Will her husband want others to know how easy it was for them, for him? What is this going to bring to the relationship? Besides of the fact that it's not fair to share your personal experience with others because perhaps your personal experience wasn't so good because of your problems and you are putting others into stress, into tension. It's not healthy, it's not good. So privacy is one of the most important principles of the Jewish home, because the more we protect things, the more valuable they become. Actually, the more valuable is something, the more we protect it. Chachamim say in the Midrash Tanchuma, about the luchot, that the first luchot were more public, and that's why they broke. And the second luchot were more private, and those are those that lasted and they stayed forever. I don't have the time. I just, the way we dress, the way it's not everything, but what message do we give our girls? I'm going to finish only with one explanation that I remember one of my kids brought it from school. When we were studying the parasha, I think it was, yes, Toledot, when Yaakov has to, by his mother's advice, he comes to his father, Yitzchak, and he has to portray himself as Esav, so he gets the beracha. So the mother tells him to put the skin of the animal to dress himself as Esav. This Mefaresh, and I apologize, I don't remember who it was, says, why did Yaakov need to dress like Esav. Why? To trick Yitzhak? He could have tricked him in different ways. Why it was so necessary for him to wear the clothes? And he explains there, it was necessary because the way you dress is going to affect the way you act. It was very important that Yaakov felt that he was Esav. Then he could act like Esav. I remember when my kids were very little, there was a time, especially the boys, that they were dressing up and they had a lot of these customs of, these characters. I don't remember if it was Batman or superheroes. Like imagine, take a little boy, give him to dress up as a superhero, give him few customs like this. One day after the other, you will see him acting like this, a little bit aggressive the rest of the time. And then give him different types of customs, a doctor, a firefighter, a policeman, and you will see how it affects the behavior. It's incredible. The way we dress affects the way we act. And this is for a whole class. But how do we dress our daughters? Do we teach them to dress in ways that people would look at them in their eyes and look at them as a person with the values, with the wisdom, with all what she has to offer, or we want them to dress as objects and others would look at them as objects. And this is all what they have to offer. And then we want them to take care of themselves and to wait until the wedding. Well, you want your daughter to take care of herself, to wait until the wedding? So teach her also that she's not only a body. What do you show? How do you dress? It's more than that. And I'm sorry, this subject gives for a lot more. The time is beyond. I'm going to unmute, not for you to say thank you, but for you to ask if you have any questions or to make if you have any comment, anything. Thank you, Daniela.